Catchy.
It looks legit. It looks catchy.
He's David graphic designer on the side.
It's Canva, man. I mean, even makes me look like a genius. He's David Fathalikhani. I'm Jimmy McKay, and we are talking about an idea that I know this is going to shock many people, many fans of the show or the stream. Just made it up as I was going along, and all of a sudden it was an idea, and that's where the best ideas come from. So real quick, because you've been on the show a few times, but if people don't know, you are our chief business correspondent. Is that what we gave you the title?
I think I'll take that.
PT Podcast chief business correspondent. Our relationship started 2013 when you were 11 years old or something. I don't know. Maybe you're a little younger than me. When I started my journey as a second career PT in PT school, this was your first career. You were a normal aged PT.
You were still 21 then.
Were you 21?
No, you were.
I wasn't 21. I was 31.
You're still 21.
I'm still 21. Yeah, I'm Peter Pan. But given the background, man, you're a second-gen PT family business, but you have a twist with a different degree, and you're a PT, but you're also weird in a good way. How do you explain?
I'll take weird in a good way. Yeah, I mean, I got stuck living with you for 3 years during PT school, so that was a good start. Yeah, I came into PT. Both of my parents were PTs, so kind of grew up with it around the kitchen table. Dad was in private practice for 20 plus years. With a variety of ortho clinics in the Northern Virginia area. And yeah, I mean, kind of got into it and, fortunate to pick Marymount, fortunate to have you as a roommate. And, it was a good experience. I came out, started the ortho sports space. I was athlete in college and I was like, okay, yeah, ortho everything all day long, every day. And I really enjoyed the sports side of things. That was my first foray into private practice, was in the sports performance realm on the, PT sports performance cash-based clinic, and kind of scaled that out into a training facility in Colorado after I graduated. I moved out here. So, and then I ended up doing that for a few years and then pivoted into another opportunity that was a total 180, which was in the senior living side of things. Which, was just an opportunity that I saw, and I saw an opportunity that the market needed to become more efficient and how care was being delivered. And that was largely because of COVID. And yeah, that kind of sprung up my next business, ended up scaling that out to a handful of sites across northern Colorado, Boulder County area, partnerships with senior living, and just kind of did the full spectrum of geriatric care. And had, very fortunate to have a great team of people to work with, did that for a few years, and then ended up selling and exiting that business. And then most recently, kind of dipped my toe into the health tech side of things, doing some work there, and kind of getting into this kind of consulting space now, with my passion being primarily how do we improve our operations? How do we improve business? I've always loved the opportunity to, like, here's a hole in the market. How do we make things better? How do we make things run easier for our teams? And I think that's just such an important piece of, what we need to get better at, as a profession, is like, how do we get better as a whole at seeing what's going on around us, and then having the skills and resources to go to do a good job and put ourselves out there.
You skipped two things that I think are of importance. While you were doing your DPT, you were doing a different degree, which is by the way, on the weekends.
Just casual weekend trips.
As one does. You were flying back and forth from Virginia, where we were in PT school, to the Ohio State University.
Thank you for using the correct.
Am I like a Buckeye fan? Like, am I a Buckeye?
You're an honorary
Buckeye. Because I live with people enough, and I was like, this is who we cheer for now. So you were doing what degree at the same time?
I did a master's in public health concurrently with my DPT. I started that MPH when I was playing baseball at Ohio State, finished my undergrad degree, had another year to play after I redshirted, and was like, well, I don't want to do another bachelor's degree, so let's try this public health thing. And honestly, it was great. Like, it helped my vision of healthcare get a little bit of a reframe before I even got into it. Like, how do you look at healthcare economics? How do you look at population-based care? I think that's a big thing.
Lucas dropping an OH.
I'll take that. All is right in the world this week after
I saw that, man. I mean, I'm in New York. You're in Colorado. Sometimes when I do have the screen on in the back and there's an Ohio State game, I can almost hear you.
Yeah,
if things are good.
I'm still yelling at Coach Day.
Yeah,
like, why are we running football? Why?
The second thing I think you skipped over is, what'd you do after you exited your home health company?
I took some time off and I went to Nepal. I was fortunate to make 2 trips there, and on my second trip, I climbed Everest,
which is I'm googling and understand it's some sort of like a hill or a mountain,
it's a pointy, cold, snowy peak.
And that's a different episode that we'll get into. But I mean, I don't know, dude. If I climbed Everest, I might have tattooed that on my forehead. Ask me about how I climbed Everest, just to make sure I could naturally bring that up in a conversation.
Casual conversation.
All right,
it was an awesome experience. I mean, it was cool. Like, you know, when I was thinking about this too, is to do that. Like, you spend a lot of time out there. And there's not a lot to do. There's a lot of downtime, and some of the people you interact with, it's amazing. Like in Basecamp, 2,500 people that call this like 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer chunk of ice home for 6 weeks. And
6 weeks, dude.
It's like little village that's built on a glacier at the base of the highest peak in the world. And it is amazing logistically what's been done there. Amazing, credit to the Nepali people for what they've done. But like, it's also really cool that you're sitting in a tent and you're talking to a dude who's a CEO of a major company or major organizations, attorneys, like high achieving people who also want to go do this. And then you're also talking to like a local villager who is helping support you get there, and you got to do it together. And I just the whole thing, again, like you said, different conversation for another time, but like, it's just a really cool experience, both from like a social interaction, but obviously the pursuit of something bigger was pretty awesome.
Well, to go with your connection piece, you're sitting there on the mountain and you're talking to different people, and conversations spur ideas. The first tagline for my podcast was the best conversations happen at happy hour. Welcome to ours. Like, that's how I wanted it to feel. It's not necessarily about the beer, even though the logo's damn beer, with my eyeballs on it. So in the spirit of connection, and the reason for this live stream, and the idea that came about it is, for the 60 millionth time, I was on LinkedIn, and the platform doesn't matter. And I heard someone say there needs to be more business education in PT school. We have friends that are academics. Academics typically don't disagree, but then they're like, where are we going to put it? Right. And then we just go around and round and round in circles. And then we just get tired, to the point when I literally just said, okay, ChatGPT, design me a syllabus for the MBA for the DPT, knowing that I don't have an MBA. You don't have an MBA, MPH, right? Similar, but not the same. But hey, we all think we need this. So I just said, could we crowdsource this? Turns out you can't.
Yep.
Put up the syllabus, and I just said, who wants to teach what? And the power of connection at the, Basecamp or on LinkedIn is there are enough people who are willing to give their time and their expertise without asking for anything in return, and just said, yeah, I'll throw. And that's the thing, especially when you're in PT, is like, they're pretty nice. I don't want to cliche PTs, but they're pretty nice and giving if you ask.
Yeah, totally.
So we just started saying, who would teach what? And we filled up most of the syllabus pretty quick. And then we had other people who were like, well, you know what's missing? And I go, no, I don't. Please tell me what's missing. And I said, congratulations. You just volunteered to teach that class. So I'm going to put your name on there. And we wound up with, I don't even know, 30 classes, 30 little episodes, 30 lessons in this syllabus. And I don't even think we're done, because of course, people are going to come in there and and I just talked to someone about revenue cycle management. I'm like, does that need to be on there? And she gave me a whooping behind the woodshed. Does it need to be on there? You need it. And I was like, never mind. You have me. Agreed. But these are the kinds of things we want to do. You saw it. What were your initial thoughts? Here's Jimmy again, putting weird stuff on LinkedIn.
No, I mean, it's the same way the Pintcast started, right? Like, you came in and I remember we were like at a happy hour, and like, dude, I learned so much in going to these happy hours, just talking to clinicians who know more than me. And you're like,
how do we get it out of the bar? Right.
Yeah, that's where we learn all that. And that's how your first idea came to be. And I was like, I don't know, man, this was what, 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I was like, I don't know the first thing about podcasting. You do you. Like, I hear you. And kudos for seeing that and making it a thing. So the same thing with this is like now, we've always sat there and complained about how we don't really know what we're doing from a business perspective. We don't come out of PT school with this like savvy business background. Like what do we got one course that was one hour a week, PT as a manager. And not to knock the programs, because like that, I get it. It's not necessarily part of the board exam.
Right. It's not their thing. It's not their skill set.
The structure of our classroom education is to get us ready to become entry-level clinicians. Well, part of what we're seeing now is a lot of clinicians who want to come out and say, hey, I have this doctorate degree, I have these skills, I have this passion, let me go serve my community. And I don't necessarily fit into the conventional outpatient box. So How do I do that? I want to start my own business. Great. You have a great idea. How do you do it? And you're like, yeah, I don't know. And I think this kind of is a couple years in the making, right? Like, I mean, 2024 at CSM, right? Like we got the fortunate opportunity to speak, and we literally were Dumb and Dumber, right? It was me, Mike, and Megan, and we just got to talk about all of the mistakes that we did in our own private practice, in our journeys through that. And it's like, okay, here's all the dumb stuff we did. Don't do this.
Don't do that.
Right? Learn from our mistakes. Well, here's another opportunity where we can now bring in some sharp minds, some people who have been there, done that, learned all the things, give these educational lessons in a applied format where it's like, hey, you can take this, listen to this 30 minutes, listen to this 45 minutes, pick one or two things and take it back to you. And even if it's not applicable today, right now, you're a staff clinician, but somewhere in the back of your head, you have this idea pinging around of like, hey, I want to go do something. Like, well, the biggest thing that I've learned over the last 2 years and working with people in these different positions I've been in and worked with, there's a lot of great people, a lot of great ideas, but they don't know where to start.
Correct.
And when you don't know where to start, that is uncertainty, that's fear, and fear is the biggest barrier to entry for us.
Yeah.
So hopefully through some education over this next year, right, these different topics, everything from foundational knowledge on what we need to understand when we open our doors or before we even open our doors, to how to scale, how to grow, how to exit, all of these things in between. Hopefully over this next year, we can give some people some good things to hear and, give some things to think about and not make the same mistakes that we've made.
My co-host from the PT Breakfast Club, Dave, is about to say something that I did, was just watch that mic. It's rubbing a little bit. So wherever, I think it's rubbed on your shirt. But that means people are listening, David.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
I'll take that.
All right. So this is where we team up well. You're very much a how guy, right? And it's like I can't do any how, but I'm a little bit of a wow guy, right? I'm like, hey, everybody, let's go this way and do our own MBA. Yeah. And then we get there and everybody's like, what are we doing next? And I'm like, I don't know. My job was to get everybody over here. Here we are. What do we do next? I don't know. So that's where we got the wow guy or the how guy who comes in, and that's you. So we've already started recording this, right? So again, we have a post on LinkedIn. I will share it in the comments across this platform. Take a look. We started recording lessons from the people who were nice enough to volunteer. So you can peruse the syllabus. You and I sort of looked at it and also decided, like, we want to make sure that, just like an actual good academic, that if we're teaching this class, you can do 30 things, but you got to make sure you hit these 5 things. Yeah. So if you're taking whatever, make sure you have to hit these 5 things. But then we can go on tangents and have fun and do whatever. So we're sort of trying to bake that into the cake. So the lessons are going to be, they're by the instructor's choice. I can just give them an intro and then I can dip out and just sit there and eat popcorn and listen. Or I've offered to be their TA, for lack of a better term, which is like, I sort of know what your outline is because you shared it with me. I'll now just ask you those things as prompts and then shut up. And then when I think you're done with that thing, I will then transition to the next, like an interview or a radio show. So we're doing those things. So you were the how guy and you took the syllabus that I created and you sort of I don't know, zhuzhed it up. You zhuzhed it. It's been zhuzhed. How many classes do you think we're actually going to wind up with, or modules or whatever? Because we want to kick this off on 1/1. That's the goal, is start 2026.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think as we've sat down and kind of put this together, the flow is going to be very much mirrored after what, that's what I did. I took some time. I looked at 10, 15 different, curriculums that are widely available on an applied MBA program. or an executive level MBA program that are out there. Okay, go through their syllabus, go through their curriculum. What's in it? Okay, well, there's a lot of stuff that might not totally be applicable to us as PTs. So like, how do we take those things and then apply them into what is actually useful in our day in and day out? So then we basically took that, compiled all of that, synthesized it, and said, okay, here's what it's going to look like. And the general flow that we've kind of landed on is every month we're going to have a new course, essentially, like, Foundations 101.
A new like heading or whatever.
Yeah. So, we're going to start in January with the foundations of healthcare business and strategy. So looking at everything from like, how does money flow in healthcare? Like what are we in this giant cog when we say healthcare?
Oh, it's rubbing on your beard, David. See, I have no facial hair.
Okay. Well,
there it is. Keep going.
All right. I got you.
So it's echoing in my head though. All right. So yes. All right. Go back. I didn't mean to throw you off.
You're good. No, the idea is like, how do we flow through things, right? So then if we can flow through a normal curriculum where it's like, we're going to create some foundational knowledge of basic healthcare economics. What is this? Where are we in this giant game of healthcare? How does the money flow? Is that going to be the most scintillating topic in the world? Probably not. But
you got to know the basics.
You've got to know the basics of where you fit into this and how are all of these things going on around you and how does this impact you?
Listen to that on 2x speed, right? Blow through that. That's what we would have done in PT school, right? Like blow through that. But probably don't. The fun part is the people who know the basics, they know how to make it sort of fun. Like we're not, we're not taking, people who can't zhuzh it up a little bit.
But we'll get through that stuff, right? So the idea is 1 to 2 episodes a week, right? 1 to 2 courses a week. And we're going to work through it.
30 to 60 minutes, I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to work through it. And very quickly in month 1, we're going to start talking about strategy basics. We're going to talk about operational basics. What do you need to know? Whether you have an idea and you haven't started yet, or you're about to start, or you've already started and you want to scale and grow, but you don't want to make mistakes as you scale and grow, or you're afraid. You're like, hey, I've got this good thing. I'm really busy. My schedule's full. Now what? Right? Like that's the biggest thing I've seen over the last couple of years is we have some incredibly talented clinicians, but the thought of scaling and growing their business to bring on employees, bring on help, bring on a staff is like, whoa, where do I go with that? So the hope is like through some of these foundational episodes in this first few months, we'll take some of that fear away and make it a little bit easier to get people in with it and get going. So right now it's structured as every month will be a new course. Like I said, January is going to be Foundations Healthcare Business Strategy.
What's February?
We're going to look at accounting, finance for clinicians. So basics, right? Like, I know all the things. But hey, you know what? Money does pay the bills.
And if you know money, it helps out in life. Money's not the cure-all, but it's sure, being sad with money. I've tried being sad with money and being sad without money. Turns out being sad with a little bit of money is better.
It's a nice thing. So, being able to talk through what does that look like? Okay. How do you get your business valued? What do you do to take on capital? What does that look like? How do you read a P&L? Like what's important? What matters as a KPI? Like what the hell is a KPI? Like those are the things that we're going to be able to talk about and apply to those settings. And again, like it's not going to be perfectly applicable to everybody, but the hope is they're going to be broad enough where if you listen, you can think about how does this apply to my setting? How does this apply to my business? And then help, plug that in. So if you're a manager and you're like, hey, you know what, one day I want to get out of this and I want to do my own thing. Or, hey, I'm a multi-site and I want to go to regional. Well, it's important if you want to be a regional director, you understand what the C-suite is looking at. You want to understand what is driving this machine that pays your salary. You got to be good at that. And then also, how do you relay that back down? So those are going to be some of the foundational things from accounting, finance, stuff like that. And I think it's also important to make sure that, we're not going to just have PTs talking. Like we're going to have people from all different walks of healthcare and finance and business, some actual MBA trained people who have been there and done that in the entrepreneurial world, to help you feel comfortable, you as a listener feel comfortable with saying, okay, I have this idea. How do I launch it? Well, now I'm a solopreneur. How do I turn into an entrepreneur? I have these ideas. How do I scale this? How do I make it a thing? And again, give some skills and resources to make that feel a little less scary to take that jump.
What are some of the other big subheadings that we're doing? Basics, finance, what else is on? I don't even know.
Yeah, operations, so systems design. So like
Marketing,
how do you
sales.
design workflows? How do you hire? How do you fire? What does HR look like? You know, I think one of the ones that I'm fired up for is coming this spring when we talk about leadership and organizational behavior. So like, how do you create culture in your organization? That word is thrown around a lot. Oh, culture this, culture that. Great. What is it? It's way more than the occasional, after work, happy hour. It's way more than
Not a pizza party.
buying the pizza at lunch once a quarter because we got bad news to drop on the company, right? There's more in like, how do we actually develop that from a large scale system? And we can look at that from hospital-based systems. And I know you've had some of those, some great guests in the past who have spoken to some of those topics, but it's like, now how do we apply them to the scaling and growing business clinician? I think that's going to be a fun one to dive into.
We even had a healthcare lawyer that I've connected to on LinkedIn only. I've never met the guy. And next thing I know, we got like 4 courses in law for the healthcare provider and healthcare owner, which is great. Just off the top of my head, I didn't reach out with him. But I know a healthcare real estate agent. It's all he does. He's licensed in 50 states, and all he does is, here are the 11 things you can't screw up in a lease or a buy. Or he told like crazy stories in an episode how he's like, you watch these super smart people in healthcare completely get just completely rugged in a lease or a sale of a building, and then they're working for their landlord. Like they're doing these surgeries in the center, but they're so much. It's like you can make bad decisions real easy, especially when you're trying to move quickly. So that's not even on the syllabus, but real estate definitely needs to be a lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll dive into that in terms of law, policy, things like that. How do you mitigate your risk when you're building something, right? Like, how do you factor those things, and who do you go to? What kind of attorneys do you need to have relationships with? I mean, it was one of those things, again, like I can share some personal experience of like, I was like, wait, an attorney wants how much per hour? Yeah, we'll figure it out. No, it's worth.
What would it cost you? What would it cost you to undo what you did if you hired a lawyer in the first place? Sometimes,
right? It's worth the cost. Create a good relationship with somebody before you jump in there. So like those kind of topics will be good. And then as we kind of work through the year, I mean, being able to look through some of the innovative topics that are going to come up, and what I think excites me about this is, as we've talked about, it's like, yeah, we've got the syllabus, but like, let's have people who are listening help us, right? Like,
yes,
hey, I really want this topic. I really am struggling with this. Are we going to talk about this? Blah. We can post, we'll kind of post our overview of what the next year is going to look like. And if there's stuff that's missing, let's add it in. Let's talk about it.
If 10 people ask for it, we're not idiots. I would probably jump on that. I mean, that's listening to your audience.
Yeah. I think, one of the other things that we've discussed that really gets me fired up is the idea of like, how do we then put common thinkers in the same room, right? Like creating some degree of a mastermind series. I think that's going to be a huge thing as we go through 26 is let's really start working on creating community of similar-minded, driven people who want to get themselves out there, kind of challenge where they're at and grow something for themselves. But how do you actually get there? And let's put some similar minds in the same room, across the country, and help people get there.
I'm putting up the current syllabus on all the channels. That's why it looks like I'm not able to think and talk, because I'm not able to think and talk.
Because you're not.
Agreed. Current syllabus is there. We're leaving out a gigantic part of this whole thing. David, will you tell everybody what it will cost to take this course?
Well, you're going to buckle up for that one because it's going to be free 99.
Now, it should be. The average cost for an actual in-person MBA is according to the Google box, $220,000 in 2 years of your life.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say this will be of $220,000 value. In fact, it could be more because you're getting multiple perspective. But let's just say it's going to be valuable. It should be a couple grand. $0. How are we able to do that? We just asked a bunch of nice people. Now we're doing a little bit of legwork, but we're going to release this thing and it's going to bring us attention, and we're in an attention economy. So, but the rising tide, man, it lifts all ships. So it should be pretty good. So $0.
It's all hairs. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of when you look at what's out there right now, right? Like you can go to some of the paywall based things, right? And say, okay, I'm going to take this course. I'm going to take this course. I'm going to go to this thing. I mean, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Like going to private practice meeting,
big time,
annual meeting, great thing, right? It's worth the dollars. It's worth getting into peer-to-peer. It's worth doing those things that are organizationally available to us. But there's nothing where you're going to be able to learn something driving to work or driving home in that 30-minute commute where you're going to be like, oh, wow, like that actually works. And then you encounter that same day and you apply it. That's exactly what we're going to be trying to do throughout this next year.
Okay. Anything, sometimes it's harder to make sure we didn't miss anything because you and I are like neck deep in it. So I'm trying to think if there's anything that we didn't. So we laid out what it is, who it is. I mean, I'll read some of the names, like, not that I want to brag or anything, but brag away, man. So let's read some of the names that are involved. I just talked to Chad Madden. Halfway through that episode recording for marketing, I needed to remind myself that I was actually like his TA and like supposed to ask a question because I was just like, a little bit of fanboying him there. Money literacy with Will Boyd and Alex Zangar. David's coming in talking business models. Amit Gagliani is jumping on there doing sales psychology and a few others. I just recorded with Lucas Van Etten on hiring and culture again. And one of the questions was, how do you define culture? Because it gets thrown around stuff. Sturdy McKee, who just DM'd me a second ago, must be watching this. Financial ops and dashboards. And he literally shared a spreadsheet that he's like, happy to share a blank version of this if you want it. But these are the KPIs. And I'm like, KPIs that's a buzzword that I never really knew about before graduating from PT school. And he's like, yeah, you can get 49 KPIs, but what are you going to do with all that information? Right. So my question were, which KPIs are K? Like, which are key? Like, which are key KPIs?
KPIs.
Answer those things. And a lot more. So Amit, Sturdy, Lisa Flexner, Steve Cohen talking about negotiation. I'm sure he'll drop some RTM information. Student loan management. We've got a certified loan professional coming on. I mentioned Joe Rivet, Esquire. That means he's a lawyer. When billing becomes liability, foundational reimbursement principles. Like literally he was like, hey, healthcare lawyer here. You should probably have some law. And I was like, what should we have? And he's like, these four. And I was like, I'm not going to disagree with the lawyer. So he's going to come in and do this as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the goal is it's flexible, right? Like the difference between the MBA program that you pay $200,000 for and listening to this day in and day out, week in and week out, is if you need something, if you're looking to learn something, just hit us up, let us know, right? And we'll figure out how to work that into the content. We want it to be very much applied to the day in and day out operation, strategy, growth side of things in PT practice. And again, I say PT practice because we're PTs, but these lessons are not just PT only, right? Like if you're anybody in healthcare, allied health, you want to grow your own practice in some sort of healthcare private practice spectrum, you're going to learn something from this because these people that we're putting together, they're so much brighter. Like they've been there, they've done that, they've done some really cool things. And I think this is what the whole goal is, from day one of Pintcast, right? It's like, let's put some of the best minds behind a mic, let them have a platform to talk about what they know.
Give them a couple drinks first. Then hand them the microphone and then ask a question and be smart enough to shut up.
I think like that's where we would love to do with this too, right? Like create a community of people and create resources for other people because like we want the profession to get elevated, right? That's the whole goal with all of this is we all agree based upon the news that came out last week, right? We're all pissed, right?
Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
We're not. Yeah, exactly. What are we gonna do about it? Okay, great. So here's a way to level up and let's get ourselves better. Let's prove ourselves some value. And the way to do that is to have the education and the empowerment of like, hey, I know what I'm doing here. I'm going to take the chance. I have some resources and some, kind of bumper guards around me that I'm going to be fine and go for it. And that's where good things happen. That's where innovation happens. That's where we advance our practice as a professional. And I'm just stoked to be a part of it.
To make sure you don't miss this, the simplest thing, couple different ways. One, subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're releasing subsequent video as well. I've been telling a lot of this, the instructors, if you want slides, great. If you feel like you need them, and a lot of them are like, I don't. Sturdy had a dashboard that was pretty visual. I was like, then we will share the screen.
Yeah.
Do you need it? Can you learn from Sturdy and KPIs without it and just the podcast? Sure. But we're also going to have the video as well. So ptpintcast.com, subscribe, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the Pandora. People still listen to Pandora. I'm surprised. YouTube as well. And at ptpintcast.com, there'll be a little pop-up that says subscribe to the newsletter. That way you'll get like an update, like here's what we released this week. And I think the beauty for me, people like me in a podcast, is if you miss some stuff or I went on vacation for a week, awesome, do that. You can always catch up. So download them, binge them later. So that's how you get it. So ptpintcast.com. That's what all the YouTubers are supposed to say. Subscribe. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you smash that live button. All right, man, do that. That's my best imitation.
That's what you do well.
That's what you're supposed to do. Bring it in. I'm excited. I'm like, it's always cool when you see like an idea come to fruition. So I'm excited and definitely want to hear more feedback from people. And we'll obviously be releasing clips of the episodes. What I've also thought we might be able to do is take the transcript, run it through the old AI box, and make like a PDF one-pager for each episode or something. So I don't want you to have to. I hated taking notes in PT school because I couldn't take notes and listen. So if I was taking notes, I wasn't really learning. But then I'd get home and be like, what the hell did I listen to? But I'm also not going to listen to the episode again. But that's why I had smart people that I studied with who took notes. And then I got to look at their notes. And I was like, I forgot about that. So I was thinking about that. So I'm trying to make the solutions for people like me who maybe need a little visual reference afterward. Maybe we'll do that too.
The spark notes on what was covered in class that day.
Exactly. All right. Is there anything else to do before we give our official sign off from this little live stream here?
No, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to be a part of it. I think it'll be fun to bring some good minds together and see where things go. I mean, I think from everything from, the couple episodes a week to starting to put some in-person events together,
that'll be fun too.
Start to run some stuff together, put some mastermind things together. I think it'll be really fun to see where this goes and what we can do to help push people, get over that fear, right? Like, here's the education. The only way to get over that fear is to have the knowledge. That's the power, right? So like, this is what we're trying to do, is empower, our profession, our peers, go out and do it, because it's risky, but the risk is worth the reward. So go. We're going to
give you it's bowling with the little bumpers.
Yeah. That's the only way I can bowl.
That's the only way I can bowl too. David Fathalikhani, the PT Pintcast Chief Business Correspondent. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for helping us with this MBA for the DPT live kickoff stream. Thanks, David.
Time.